Hey guys, welcome to Godzilla-Thon with Godzilla 2014. Fourth attempt at this video. Here's hoping for the best. Okay, for starters, let's get the negative out of that way. The characters, except for a small handful, are kinda eh. The story could have been more flushed out. And they did lie to us in the advertising campaign with this. Made Godzilla out to be something he's not. Made Bryan Cranston out to be the star, which he's not. But still, great movie, solid entry in the franchise. We center on a family. There's a soldier coming back. He's EOD, comes in handy later. After celebrating with his family, he gets a call. His father's been arrested in Japan. There was an accident at a nuclear plant some years ago. What we find out later, it was because one of the kaijus, the male Muto, burrowed under the reactor. The wife/mother got killed, and the father's become obsessed, and the father and son have an estranged relationship. Well, he goes to go to get his father. The father talks him to going back to the contaminated zone, and the father discovers the radiation levels are gone. Well, they get to the house, get the records he was looking for, and find a picture of the family. They get arrested. Ken Watanabe, playing Ishiro Serizawa, is there, and he looks at the notes and realizes this guy found something we didn't, and we thought all records were lost from that day, but they're not. Watanabe is part of an organization called Monarch. You've seen this or Kong, you know what Monarch are. They study and classify massive unidentified terrestrial organisms, or MUTOs. Anyway, while they're at the Monarch facility, the male Muto hatches. This leads to Bryan Cranston, who is phenomenal for the little bit of time he's in this movie, getting mortally wounded, and he dies a few scenes later. When the U.S. military shows up, Serizawa points out, I need those two with me. Well, they brief Aaron Taylor-Johnson's character on what Godzilla is, then let him go about his merry way. After losing his father, they send him off a helicopter to Hawaii to catch a plane back to San Francisco. I do have a little bit of an issue with this. After giving him that kind of classified information, you'd think he would maybe be folded into Monarch or something. But anyway, while he's in Hawaii, the Muto, nice Godzilla 1984 reference, they find out a Russian nuclear sub went missing. Well, the Muto plucked it out of the ground and took it to Hawaii to feed on the energy. Why this is going on, Godzilla's making a beeline for the Muto. In a nice twist, before he even comes to shore, it causes a tidal wave. Although why this didn't happen in San Francisco, anybody's guess. We get a cool scene where it looks like Godzilla and the Muto are gonna fight, and it cuts out. I didn't mind this the first time, and I'll let it slide because Godzilla's intro was so epically awe-inspiring. Anyway, Aaron Taylor-Johnson saves this kid who wandered onto the train, brings him back to his family, and after getting back to California, he finagles his way into a group that's transporting a nuclear weapon to take out the Mutos. And there's one scene I love when the Navy, I think it was an admiral, was talking to Dr. Serizawa. He hands him a pocket watch, and he's like, it stopped 8:15, and he tells him 8:15, and it was the date of Hiroshima. And he just hands him the watch, takes that, and I love that scene because Serizawa's just pointing out, you've learned nothing. That's easily the most powerful scene in the movie, with two actors doing a phenomenal job. I wish there was more of that. Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, do I care about him? Yes and no. I can kind of understand why he's kind of non-responsive in this. He was coming home from his first tour of duty, probably excited and didn't sleep much. Gets home, first night home. You gotta go to Japan to get your dad out of jail. Again, probably restless and very little sleep, and that's when everything goes crazy, so this film probably took place over like a 3 or 4 day time period, and he probably slept very little throughout that whole time, so I can tolerate the non-responsiveness. But anyway, still, he's not that great of a character. And I wonder, would the movie have been better if they writ him out? Elizabeth Olsen does a decent enough job with what's given to her. I'm not gonna fault her, and as for the son, he's a child actor, and you know that's kind of hit or miss. Well, it all converges in San Francisco, and yeah, I know I'm not going as blow by blow with the plot, but I have no set way of reviewing these movies. The Muto steals the nuclear warhead, and it leads to Aaron Taylor Johnson volunteering to be part of a group to retrieve it because they don't want to set it off in the middle of San Francisco. Their plan was to lure the monsters to an island and detonate. Around the time this is going on, his wife sent the son on a bus to get them to safety. Well, Godzilla shows up at the Golden Gate Bridge while the bus is there. And it's just a great shot because you get a scale of how massive he is. You see his spines coming, and these are like guided missile destroyers that he's coming to. Big ships. And then you realize that's not his spine. That's his tail. And they start firing. Some of the 5-inch guns hit the bridge. At this point, the driver tries to get them out of the way until a shell hits part of the suspension cable and kind of hems him in. Well, as Godzilla shows up and they start firing, a tank backs up, knocks the suspension cable out of the way, allowing the bus driver to get away, and Godzilla plows through the bridge like it's nothing. The wife takes shelter underground, and we finally start to get the fight with the Godzilla and the Mutos, which I do wish there was a little more of, because they were a tough rival for Godzilla. They halo jump in, and the halo jump scene is amazing. I don't want to describe it if you haven't seen it yet. Just see it for yourself. And they find the missile. The initial plan is try to disarm it. If you can't, get it and get it as far away from San Francisco as you can before it blows up. The retrieval is also partially a suicide mission because if you have to get it on the boat, you know that's a one-way trip. Well, once Ford Brody realizes that those are eggs, he lets the other guys get some distance away with the nuke, and he finds a gas tanker, releases the fuel, and blows it up. This breaks up the fight, and at this point, Godzilla's getting his butt kicked. Now, I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to bring up something I know is in the book in a minute. As it looks like the female Muto is about to... No, as they're pulling away the bomb... Well, sorry, I had to stop and think about it for a minute. As they're running away with the bomb, and it looks like the female Muto is about to kill Ford Brody, we see a spot of blue light hit his face, and I got to see this in the theater. At this point, I'm excited, because if you're a Godzilla fan, you know what a blue light means. And we see energy start charging from the spines on his tail all the way up his back, and he hits the female with an atomic blast. And I like that this one kind of looks like it's liquidy. It's hard to describe. It's an energy blast, but if you ever looked at how flamethrowers work and watch like good high-def footage of them, you can still see that it's just burning napalm. It's something like that. Anyway, the female makes a beeline for the nuke, allowing Godzilla to finish the male Muto up, smacking it against his building with the tail, and the building falls on him. They try to get the nuke off the boat, and Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ford Brody's the only one that can, and the Muto's EMP, which is a thing, they can't do much digital against the Mutos because they're constantly generating an EMP. And I like that. It makes them an exceedingly deadly enemy for the military to face. They even had to put an analog ticker on the nuke so they can ensure it would go off. And like I said, I was going to bring up the book in a minute. It's revealed that in the book, from what I understand, I never finished reading it. It's good to have in my collection, but I didn't think it was the most well-written thing in the world. That the Muto's EMP was hindering Godzilla's ability to use his atomic breath. When it looks like everything's lost, Ford's about to get killed and the female's going to get the bomb again, Godzilla bites on its neck, holds her mouth open, and shoots his atomic breath down her throat. If you've seen this in the theater, this was the scene, my head exploded. This scene was awesome, and still is. Godzilla passes out, Ford Brody gets lifted off the boat, and a minor detonation goes off. Two things to point out. One, the baby Mutos were feeding off of the energy, and two, dilatable yield. In the book Sum of All Fears, and forgive me if my facts aren't right, it's been over 10 years since I read this book, that the bomb in that book kind of fizzled out too, but it was a dilatable yield, and it wasn't programmed right or something, so pick your poison as to why the blast was so small. Ford and his family reunite. Sarazawa's by what looks like Godzilla's corpse, only to see he's still alive. And we see a ticker on the news that says King of Monsters, Savior of Our City, ? Godzilla returns to the sea. Film ends. Well, better than 1998. But I kind of think of it as middle of the road for the franchise. Not the best, not the worst. The story did need to be flushed out a little more, and I could have done without Aaron Taylor Johnson, even though I kind of defended how he played the character. Yes, someone better could have been cast. But I recommend this movie because it's a Godzilla movie. We watch these for Godzilla and the characters second. I'm excited for the next movie. Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, King Ghidorah. Despite what some people think by what the one actor said about how Godzilla better bring his A-game, it's being interpreted as Mothra and Rodan won't be involved in the fight. He probably can't say that much and was just commenting on how Godzilla fought in the final battle. What do we know about the next movie and where the monsters will pop out? Mothra is in a temple in China. Rodan is in a volcano in Mexico. And as for King Ghidorah, well, they made a discovery in Antarctica, and the devil has 3 heads. Can't wait for the next movie. Oh, so hyped for it. Wish it was coming out this year, but good things are worth waiting for. So, I definitely recommend. This is a watch and a buy recommend. Well, 2 more films left to go. Shin Godzilla, can't wait to review that, and Monster Planet. Can't wait to see that. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Even feel free to hit dislike. Hit the notifications. And I'll see you next time. Over and out.